Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishna Nazir, Parak Vav, Chapter 6, Mishnah Test, Mishnah 9. So the Mishnahs are now continuing with the procedure of what the Nazir does when he brings his sacrifices at the conclusion of his term of Naziris. Hayamavashal es hashlamim oishalkan. The shlamim, the offering that he partook of, the Mishnah says he would cook it, or he would shulkan, which means to overcook. And overcook means you cook it until the meat falls apart. You could cook it in a way that the meat stays together as one piece, or you could really cook it in a way that it falls apart. Now, the point here is, I bring it down here in the notes, unlike other shlamim offerings, which could be cooked, roasted, or baked, the Nazir's ram has to be cooked. And the Mishnah teaches that overcooking the Nazir's ram was also acceptable. But the point is that the shlamim of a Nazir specifically has to be cooked or overcooked, meaning basically that it was done in liquid. Unlike other shlamim, that could be roasted or baked. Next, the Kohen would then take the cooked right foreleg of the ram, because that's the kind of animal. The ram is the animal being used for the shlamim. So the Kohen would take the cooked right foreleg of the ram, v'chalas matzah achas min asal, and one loaf of matzah from the basket, or a kik matzah echad, and one, I'm just translating the words right now, I'll explain it soon, or a kik matzah echad, and one, they call it, translated as a wafer, v'noisein al kapei hanazir manifan, and he puts it on the palms of the Nazir, and he waves it. Okay, so right now the Mishnah is saying that you take parts of what the Nazir brought for his sacrifice. And now a Nazir, when he brings a sacrifice, or he brings as we mentioned before, actually brings a chatas, a sin offering, an olah, burnt offering, and a shlamim, and a peace offering, which is what we're talking about right now. And it's cooked, as we said. And now we go through the procedure of hanafa, waving, which means that the parts of what the Nazir brought for his sacrifice will be placed on his hand. The Kohen will place it on his hand, and the Kohen will put his hands, and together with the Nazir, the Kohen will then wave it. Wave it means that it was waved in different directions, like we wave the lulav. That's how you wave. That's how you wave these objects, these parts of the carbon. Now, let me elaborate a little bit more here. Besides bringing 3 animal offerings at the conclusion of his term of Naziris, the Nazir also brought a basket that contained 20 matzahs. Now, matzahs means they're not chametz. They didn't look like Ashkenazi matzahs. They were more like actual loaves, actual breads. And that's what we're referring to. We call the matzahs. 10 of these were made with oil, meaning they were mixed with oil. These were called chalos, loaves. And 10 were made without oil, but later smeared with oil, and these are known as rekikin wafers, meaning basically the chalos are baked with the oil mixed in, kind of moist. The wafers were baked drier, but they were smeared afterwards with oil. 1 loaf and 1 wafer were taken together with the cooked foreleg of the ram, and then what happened was, as the Mishnah said, the Kohen would take them, place them on the palms of the Nazir, and wave them together with the Nazir back and forth and up and down. That is what this means here when it says, and he would wave it. That's part of the procedure of what the Kohen is, of what the Nazir does at the conclusion of his Naziris.
One time?
As far as I know. At this point, the Nazir is now permitted to drink wine and to become impure to a dead body. So at this point, according to this, at this point of the Mishnah, at this point, the Mishnah is saying, this opinion in the Mishnah says that when is the Nazir's term actually concluded? At this point, he has waived these parts of his carbon, of his sacrifice, and it's at this point that he becomes permitted to drink the wine and to become and to allow himself to become impure for someone who passed away. Reb Shimon Oimer, Reb Shimon says, Keva shenizrak olav echad min adamim. According to Reb Shimon, once one of the bloods of the karbanos was sprinkled, meaning once anyone, we mentioned that it's supposed to be the chatas is first. Theoretically, it can be out of order too. Now, but the point according to Reb Shimon is that once the blood of one of the sacrifices is thrown, which is the main part of the sacrifice, that's the main part of the ritual of the sacrifice, at that point already, he could drink wine or become tamei for a dead body. Now, he's not going to want to become tamei for a dead body because he's got the rest of the of what he needs to do. Yeah. But theoretically, at this point of time, he can go ahead, take a cup of wine, make a l'chaim, make a priya guffin, make a l'chaim, okay, whatever the word has to be. He has to make priya guffin, drink the wine, make l'chaim, and there's no problem. Because even though he still has more to do, he still has to do the tenufa, he still has to do the waving. Nonetheless, according to Reb Shimon, and he has to bring the other sacrifices. But according to Reb Shimon, once the blood of one sacrifice is already thrown onto the altar, onto the mizbeach, now his term of Naziris is completed. And each one of these opinions, so again, the first opinion in the Mishnah holds, that you have to basically finish everything, right? You're gonna, or at least you have to go through this process of taking the cooked part of the right foreleg, take the challah, take the rikik, wave it. At that point, he's going to be able to drink. He's going to be able to drink wine, become tamei from the mason. Reb Shimon says it can even happen at an earlier point. Once you have the sprinkling of the blood of any one of the sacrifices, then at that point, the Naziris is over, and now he's permitted in all the things that he was forbidden to do. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you, man. There was a local